Morning, all. Sorry this is being posted a little later than normal. I wasn't feeling very well last night. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was dehydrated or what it was, but. And then I was overtired from the night before. So I'm a little bit later getting things going this morning than usual. Don't worry, you'll still get all your hockey fixes from me, starting with today's preview. Now, we've got 12 games tonight. Now, I did the boards up last night. And so we're going to get through this. We're going to discuss the 12 games, and then we're going to see tonight just how right or wrong we were about how things were going to turn out. So, we're starting things off with Nashville and against Buffalo. For the Predators, they're 14, 10, and 5 right now. Over their last 10, they're 5, 3, and 2. Away from home, they're 5, 5, and 1. The overall numbers have been mediocre. And in this era of purging coaches, we'll see if Nashville can maintain a mediocre record and Laviolette keeps his job. I will say this, Nashville's only had 2 coaches in their entire existence, so it takes more than a bit of a slow patch for a coach to lose their job in Nashville. Buffalo, they're 15, 11, and 6. In their last 10, they're 5, 2, and 3. At home, they're 9, 3, and 3. They're definitely better at home than on the road. That being said, they have had signs of turning it around over the last couple of weeks, and that seems to be continuing. We'll see whether or not they're able to pull off a win at home tonight against the Nashville team that needs a win as well. Their next meeting is January 18th at Nashville. They have not met yet this year. Now, your hits leader for Nashville is Austin Watson with 64 blocked shots. Ellis leads there with 54. Faceoffs, Johansson leads with 461. On the Buffalo side, Ristolainen, 100 hits. Blocked shots, McCabe leads with 52. Faceoffs, Eichel leads at 650. Eichel takes a lot of faceoffs. So, yeah, it's been an interesting turnaround for Buffalo. And if there's, I saw this comment mentioned yesterday, and if there's anybody who, when Buffalo's going through a rough patch, wants to blame Jack Eichel in Buffalo fandom, I haven't heard anybody outside of Buffalo fandom try to blame Jack Eichel. It's insane. I have seen it with McDavid as well when the Oilers aren't going very well with, oh, well, he can't be the best player in the league because look how the Oilers are. It's one player. And Eichel has been an absolute beast for probably 90% of the games that I've watched him play so far. So he is having an amazing breakout season. But moving along. Boston. The Boston Bruins in against Tampa tonight. And these games on this board all start at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. Now, Boston's coming off of the loss against Washington last night. They're 26-6. And again, they don't have any real pressure right now to necessarily get it together. Over their last 10, they're now 6-3-1. On the road, they're 8-5-1. On the Tampa Bay side of things, they're 15-11-3. So at 33 points, Boston has 46. They're 13 points behind Boston. If Tampa can win tonight, it's 11 points, and then if Boston has another, it can start to really snowball from here. But they got to win in regulation. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10. Tampa's having a really hard time putting together a run. We keep waiting for that run. It hasn't been happening. Tonight's another example of a moment where you're waiting for that run to start. They beat Florida the other night. Now they got Boston. Important games. At home, they're 7-6-1, which is mediocre, and you can't be mediocre at home. The last time these teams met was October 17th. Tampa Bay won in Boston in a shootout, 4-3, and I remember saying, this is Tampa. Best game they've played all year. And then the next game, they weren't as good. And that's been the storyline with Tampa Bay all season. The next meeting these teams have is March 3rd in Tampa as well. So for the Bruins, this is their last chance to get some measure of revenge for the shootout loss until March. Hits leader for the Bruins is Wagner with 86 block shots. McAvoy leads there with 64. Faceoffs, Bergeron has 510. On the Tampa Bay side of things, Paquette leads in hits with 68. Blocked shots, McDonough leads with 65. Cirelli leads the team in faceoffs with 417. So this is a game where I do find myself kind of favoring Tampa. I don't see anything in what happened last night with Boston and Washington to tell me they'll win tomorrow night against Tampa. I didn't think that during that game. This was, again, it's frustrating because Boston was close last night. It's not like they're playing really bad. They're not playing the way they did early in the season. So I don't know that they necessarily come out against Tampa and score the victory. The problem is Tampa hasn't been scoring the victories in succession rapidly enough for me to have. I don't know what's going to happen here. I have no idea. You guys can let me know if you think that you know what's going to happen, but I really this one's up in the air. Islanders. The Islanders are in against Florida, and the Islanders appear to be getting things back on a roll after that rough patch through California. They're 27-2 now, so now they're 9 points back of the Washington Capitals. They may have games in hand, but they have to win all those games in hand. And over their last 10, they're 5-4-1. On the road, they're 8-5-1. Florida, they're 15-10-5, and much like their brethren in Tampa, they have a hard time getting a good streak going. They're 5-5 in their last 10, showing win one, lose one is the way they've been doing it. At home, they're 9-5-2. So I've been saying this, but I mean it. I really hope that fans start to really fill that arena in Florida, because this might be the best Florida Panthers roster they've ever had. When I look at this roster from top to bottom, I think it's the best team they've ever had. October 12th, I know, I remember the rat tossing on the ice. I remember 96. I remember they went to the Stanley Cup Finals, but talent-wise, this team I think is better. October 12th, these teams met in New York. The Islanders won in a shootout 3-2. November 9th, they won they played in New York. The Islanders won again 2-1. This is their last meeting of the season. So for Florida, it's their last chance to get a victory against the Islanders. Hits leader for the Islanders is, of course, Clutterbuck, 101. Blocked shots, Pelech with 68. Faceoffs, Nelson leads with 500. On the Florida side, Achari has 47 hits. Blocked shots, Strollman has 44. And Barkov leads the team in faceoffs with 526. So if this is an overly physical game, that favors the Islanders. If it's a skill game, that favors Florida. Goaltending, it should favor Florida considering how much money they paid Bobrovsky, but the stats tell you that'll probably favor the Islanders. This should be a fun one. I'm kind of favoring Florida in this one, but it's just because the inconsistency means they should have a good game tonight, because they weren't able to get enough goals to knock off Tampa the other night. So we'll see. All right, moving along. Columbus in against Pittsburgh. Now, this has not been a really close game either time these teams have played each other this year. 12-14-4 is the record for Columbus. It's not great. Over their last 10, they're 4-6. It's also not great. On the road, they're 4-6-3. You guys know where I'm going with that one. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, they're 17-10-4. They should be getting Crosby back early in January, so you got to think that's another, 12 games without Crosby? Maybe 10, maybe 12. Last 10, they're 6-3-1. At home, they're 12-4-2. So Pittsburgh somehow cobbling together a good record despite most of their players getting hurt and relying on Galchenyuk for goals, which has just not been working out for anybody who's relied on that. It's to the point where I'm thinking about doing a video on Galchenyuk because it's just been so bizarre. October 5th, Pittsburgh beat Columbus 7-2. That was a massive drubbing. November 29th, Columbus gets a measure of revenge with a 5-2 win. Now they're back in Pittsburgh, so the home team has beaten the living you-know-what out of the other team. The next meeting these guys have is March 12th. That one's in Columbus, so we'll see if the home team continues to lay a beating on the road team in this series. Hits leader for Columbus is Foligno with 84. Blocked shots, Jones leads with 62. Faceoffs, Boone Jenner with 461. On the Pittsburgh front, Tanev, 118 hits. Blocked shots, Marino with 37. And your faceoffs leaders, Teddy Bluger with 399. Benefiting from the fact that Malkin missed some time. Now Crosby's missed some time, so he becomes your face-off leader as a result. So yeah, this is a game where obviously I'm going to look at it and go, well, Pittsburgh should win this because they win. And I don't care who's not playing. It could even come out on Malkin's decided. He took the skate and he went, I'm not playing Columbus. He's just going to take the night off. I would still probably pick Pittsburgh in this one just because that's the way this season series has been going between these teams so far. But that being said, I need to change boards. Now we got a game that starts at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, and that's the Detroit Red Wings at home against Winnipeg. Detroit has to win a game before all the coaches are fired, right? Or is Detroit waiting until all the coaches are fired before they win a game? That's the question. 5 have been fired since they last won a game. It's not supposed to happen. And I'm thinking somebody somewhere in some kind of a nerdery is trying to figure out what a record is for how many coaches get fired before a team has won their next game. I'm telling you, Detroit has to have set the record because it's a bizarre thing. Although back in the 80s, there were some years where coaches were getting fired right, left, and center as well. This isn't the first year it's been like this. There are other years where we've seen a ton of coaches get fired. It is actually something I started researching yesterday, and then we had to go to hockey. So it is something that may very well end up being a video where we discuss the years where we've seen a ton of coaches get fired. Winnipeg, they're not firing their coach. Even though Maurice is always mentioned in this kind of thing, they're 19-10-2. They're not firing him. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. They're 10-5-1 on the road. I should make sure that there's the dash in there, because otherwise it's 10-51. It was late and I wasn't feeling well last night. That's why it's 10-51. They're 10-5-1 on the road. So, Jets fans, don't fret. You're 10-5-1, not 10-51. Detroit is 7-22-3. Not only that, but over their last 10 games, they've lost the last 10, all in regulation. All of them. No points. None. They're 653 points out of the playoffs. I've done the math. And at home, they're 4-11-1. They're mathematically eliminated. They were actually mathematically eliminated in the preseason. They've lost so many games in a row that they've retroactively been taken. They've had points taken away retroactively. Okay, those wins don't count now because you've lost too many in a row. The last meeting, of course, was on December 10th, a couple of days ago. 5-1 victory for Winnipeg, so this is their last meeting of the year. This would be a great spot to put the Akbar magnet, except it would light itself on fire and then accuse me of betrayal, because I don't actually believe it. I don't. I don't believe that Detroit has it in them. I'm starting to think that Anthony Mantha found out about last year, where the running joke I had was that Jonathan Quick and Jack Campbell weren't injured. They'd left the Kings because it was such a miserable season they were having. I'm starting to think that Mantha may very well be on the island they were on, and it's just, I'm not going back. It's so bad in Detroit right now, I'm not going back. On the Jets side of things, statistically, Lowry leads them in hits with 77. Blocked shots, Kulikov leads with 38. Face-off, Scheifele with 534. Hits leaders for Detroit, Ernie and Glendening both have 61. Blocked shots, Green leads there with 39. Face-offs, Larkin, 616. Dylan Larkin has been front row center for all this. The one thing that I ask, and this is something that's been debated for decades in hockey and just in sports in general, how much does it hurt a guy going forward if he's on a team that's this bad for this long? Like, does it hurt a guy long term? And before anybody says the name, I'll say it, Joe Sakic. The question was asked of him. I remember that being asked with Yzerman as well. Early in his career was, with all the Detroit losing. And now here we're at Detroit losing, and Yzerman's the GM. So it is something I do wonder if all these players are going to basically remain unscathed at the end of this, or what's going to happen. Because this is just awful. It's just terrible. All right, moving along. Vegas. The Vegas Golden Knights in against St. Louis. This is a really fun-looking game here. Vegas, 16-12-5. Over their last 10, they're 5-3-2, but they've started looking like Vegas again. They've really started to pull it together. On the road, they're 8-6-2. Their road record and home record is basically identical. Whereas St. Louis, they've gone into a bit of a slump here. They're 18-8-6 now. They're 5-4-1 at home, or 5-4-1 in their last 10, and at home they're 8-4-3. So this is a game where Vegas, who have looked better on the road, generally speaking, than at home over the last, we'll say, month or 6 weeks. This is their chance to go into St. Louis and beat the defending Stanley Cup champions. The next time these teams will meet will be January 4th in Vegas. So these teams will get reacquainted pretty darn quick here. Now, I'll see Vegas on the 19th in Vancouver, but I will be keeping a close eye on how they do between now and then. I do get the feeling that if they can get on a little bit of a roll with the way things are going in the Pacific, absolutely they can still win it. There's still going to be a team that, whenever you talk about the Pacific, people say, oh, they're going to win it. Hits leader for Vegas is Reeves with 145. Don't be surprised. Blocked shots, McNabb leads with 57. Face-offs, Stastny leads with 511. On the St. Louis front, Sammy Blais still leads this team in hits with 70, despite the number of games he's missed. Blocked shots, that's 57 for... Yeah, it's Colton Parayko. Parayko's got 57. I don't know why I just put 57, because that makes it look like the team. The team has 57 blocked shots on the season. No, Parayko has 57. Faceoffs leader is Ryan O'Reilly with 687 faceoffs. So, he's busy. He's busy often with the faceoffs. It's like, hey, Ryan, can you come out and take the faceoff? I just took a faceoff. Can you take another one? Oh, hey, you just sat down. Can you come out and take another one? This could very well be game of the night material right here. This could be the best game we have tonight. And again, if either team takes the other one lightly, this will be a lopsided victory for the team that was taken lightly in it. I can't see Vegas taking St. Louis lightly, and I can't see St. Louis doing that with Vegas either. But again, we'll see how things turn out right from the start. And this is with Marc-Andre Fleury back. Again, it feels like Vegas is getting it back together. Next up, Oilers. The Oilers in against Minnesota. The Oilers who have to feel some pressure right now from beneath. And kind of adjacent as well, because Arizona's still tied with them. But Calgary's not far back, and Vegas isn't far back. Right now, Edmonton's 18-11-4. Over their last 10, they're 4-5-1. They have struggled over their last 10 games. On the road, they are 8-5-3. Minnesota, on the other hand, they're 14-12-5. In their last 10, they're 6-1-3. And at home, they're 7-1-3. The record that Minnesota has at home is excellent. And the schedule was merciless to them in terms of road. And they weren't great on the road. Because of their road record being kind of hot garbage to start the season, it absolutely destroyed their record overall. But they are in a position where they're not out of a playoff chase. They're not in a playoff spot right now, but they're not out of the chase. So if they can win tonight against the Oilers, they get a couple points closer to them. They might make life more miserable for Edmonton than it's been lately. And yeah, I think this is one Minnesota should win. Now, Minnesota's already beaten them 3-0 on October 22nd. So they've proven they know how to beat the Oilers. The next meeting they have, the last meeting of the season, will be on February 21st in Edmonton. So their first two meetings are both in Minnesota. We'll see if Minnesota can assert themselves with that home ice advantage again tonight. Hits leader for the Oilers, Cassian with 91. Blocked shots, Clefbaum with 103. Faceoffs, Draisaitl leads with 481 there. So if you expected McDavid, nope. On the Minnesota front, Foligno leads with 77. It's interesting. Hits leader is Foligno. Minnesota, Columbus. They came into the team. They came into the league as expansion teams the same year, and now they both got a Foligno that leads them in blocked shots. It's weird. Blocked shots or leads them in hits. Blocked shots is Spurgeon with 56. I'll get it together. It'll happen. May not happen during this video, but I'll get it together. Foligno leads them in hits. Spurgeon in blocked shots and faceoffs. Mikko Koivu with 473 again, despite missed time. Now Koivu, I believe, is supposed to be in the lineup tonight. But at this stage, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be in the lineup tonight. 92% sure. 91% sure. Yeah, something like that. All right, next up, last one on this board is Toronto and Calgary. So the Toronto Maple Leafs coming off of that win against Vancouver. They looked pretty good in that game. And they've looked pretty decent since changing coaches. They're 15-13-4 now. Over their last 10, they're 6-4. On the road, they're 8-9. So they've got everything kind of working for them, and sometimes a change in coaches works. And they're up against Calgary, who haven't tasted defeat since they changed their coach. They're 17-12-4 now. They've got a really strong record going. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10. At home, they're 9-3-2. I like Calgary's chances tonight. I do. I really do. Their next meeting is January 16th in Toronto. Hits leader for Toronto is Jake Muzzin with 67. Block shots, CC leads with 58. Faceoffs, Tavares with 441. Now, on the hits front for Calgary, it's Lucic with 81. Block shots, Giordano, 79. Faceoffs, Monahan, 461 for the Calgary Flames. I do like the Flames tonight. I think this is a game that the Flames should win. That being said, Sheldon Keefe has made a big difference for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This If you're a fan of Canadian teams, this will be your game of the night. But again, I think it's going to be between these two. There's some pretty good matchups today, though, overall. And this is always a fun matchup to watch. I like Calgary jerseys, and I like Leaf jerseys. And when the teams play against each other, it's kind of a nice-looking game. And I'm kind of a geek that way, I guess. But, I would expect to see Riddick tonight. I would expect to see Freddie Anderson, because that's how it works. And if you're a Leafs fan and you're like, well, they're going to upgrade their goaltending. Nope. The rumor has it that's not the plan. There's no plan to upgrade from Hutchinson, or they're just going to leave it that way for now. So, and I've supported Toronto in that idea, and I do think that while Hutchinson's first start under Keefe was not great, he wasn't deployed very well under Mike Babcock either. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But for the Flames, the good news for them is a big winning streak, and Cam Talbot started to play like I know Cam Talbot can, and it's nice to see that again. That being said, I need to change boards. Now, Chicago, they get their chance for revenge tonight against Arizona. Chicago, 12-13-6, meandering along. They're losing enough that you don't view them as being really a threat, but they're not losing enough that they're completely out of it. So 12-13-6 in their last 10, they're 3-5-2. On the road, they're 5-6-3. It's been a tough slog for them. Arizona 18-11-4 in their last 10, they're 5-3-2. At home, they're 7-7-1. They're not as good at home as they are on the road, which is odd. Their last meeting, of course, December 8th, was a shootout victory for the Arizona Coyotes, 4-3. The next meeting and last meeting these teams will have will also be in Arizona on February 1st. So Arizona now controls their destiny at home against the Chicago Blackhawks. And a victory tonight for Arizona might make them first in the division again. They're tied, but Edmonton has the tiebreaker. So hits leaders for the hits leader for Chicago is DeHaan with 93. He also leads them in blocked shots with 73. If DeHaan's out for an extended period, and I haven't looked yet and seen, but if he's out for an extended period, that really hurts their blue line. Face-offs, Taves with 623. Taves may not be performing offensively the way we're used to this year, but he is still performing well. He's just not getting the points. On the Arizona front, Krause, 86 hits. Block shots, Goligoski, 66. Face-offs, Derek Stepan, 544 to lead the team in that area. Arizona's an interesting team in that you've got that great goaltending in that defense. But again, I haven't seen enough offense from them to tell me that, yep, they can maintain this all year. I still think that Calgary and Vegas are the most dangerous teams in this division. And recent events tell me that could very well end up being the case. Calgary could win tonight and go to 18-12-4. If Arizona and Edmonton both lost in regulation and Calgary won, we would have a three-way tie for first place in the Pacific. And then if Vegas won too, they're not that far off. They're 1 point off. So the Pacific is kind of insane right now. Arizona with a win, they don't have to worry about any of that. You just say, no, we're not worried. It's not really our problem. All right, moving along. The Vancouver Canucks are at home tonight against the Carolina Hurricanes, and Carolina comes in playing pretty well. They're 19-11-1 overall. Over their last 10, they're 6-4, and on the road, they're 9-6-1. And I've got a funny feeling they're going to win tonight. Vancouver's 15-12-4. They're 5-5 in their last 10. At home, they're 7-4-3. That home record has started to suffer, and they're at home against Carolina. So Carolina's a team that showed against Edmonton they can score a bunch. Vancouver at times has been allowing goals in bunches. The next meeting these guys have will be February 2nd in Carolina. This, of course, is their first meeting of the year. And I've got to admit, Carolina does kind of frighten me as one of the worst-case scenarios you could have for Vancouver right now. Jordan Staal leads the team in hits with 72. Block shots, Slavin with 55. Face-offs, Staal leads the Carolina Hurricanes with 605 in that area. So he kind of does a little bit of everything, except the scoring part. He's not scoring the way that we might have thought he would. And I'm talking about just his modest goal and point totals. He's not getting there. On the Vancouver front, they miss Edler when he's not in the lineup. 54 hits to lead the team, 80 blocked shots when he's with the team, and yet Edler's a guy who's driven me crazy at times this year. Absolutely bonkers. All right, but face-offs, Horvat leads the team in face-offs with 699. So when he takes that opening face-off of the game, you can go, that's face-off number 700. He did it, and jump around. And everybody will be like, why are you jumping around? It's the 700th face-off. Nobody cares. Just sit down. Stop it. Why'd you knock my popcorn over? Now you have to make more. So yeah, Vancouver at home. That cautious optimism might cautiously be right out the window right now. And I'm not overly worried about this season for Vancouver. I know people are gonna go nuts if they go on an extended losing streak in December as well and everything falls apart. It's just they're better than they were. And it's a slow progression. Not every team could beat Toronto and win the draft lottery and then put together a team that we can all agree has been fantastic, right? Oh, we don't agree on that. Anyways, I don't expect Vancouver to suddenly be like the best team in the world or anything, but they're better than what they were last year, and they seem to be making incremental steps forward. And I know it's frustrating for a Vancouver fan that they are incremental steps because you're up against Carolina, who looked pretty good last year after years out of the playoffs. But remember, it took them 10 years out of the playoffs. 10. Vancouver, it's only been 4 so far. This year would be 5. That's kind of depressing. Just forget I said that. Just forget I said that altogether. Anaheim. So Anaheim and Vancouver, these games start at 7 o'clock Pacific. This game starts at 6, 9 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Anaheim's at home against the Kings. You guys are going to want to record this one, right? No. 12-18-2 is the record for LA. Over their last 10, they're 3-6-1. On the road, they're 2-12-1. I know LA and Anaheim are right next to each other. It's still a road game. It's not their arena, and they still don't play very well in it. Anaheim, 13-14-4 overall over their last 10. They are 3-5-2, and at home, they're 8-6-2. So, yeah, neither of these teams come in playing very well. They have a combined 6 wins in their last 10 games. So, combined. And December 2nd, Anaheim beat them in Anaheim 4-2. And their next meeting is February 1st in LA. So, this is another meeting in Anaheim. And we'll see whether or not the Kings can get that 3rd road win. I don't care where it is. Any road win right now will suffice. And just changing that road record for the Kings. Because it is submarined them out of the playoffs. Their home record isn't bad. If they had a 500 record on the road, we would be talking about how they're better this year and how they're pushing to potentially make the playoffs in the Pacific. But as it is, no. Hits leader for LA is Brown with 74. Blocked shots, Martinez leads with 56. Face-offs, Kopitar 586 to lead the team there. On the Anaheim side, Rowney with 89 hits. Blocked shots, Holzer 58. Face-offs, Getzlaf has 467. So, I would take Anaheim just because it's LA, and they're not in LA, technically. So when they're not at the Staples Center, they lose. That's basically the case. They are trying to turn around what is the worst losing streak in franchise history on the road. So we'll see if it happens tonight. And if it does, Anaheim fans can throw their arms in the air and go, of course it's against us. And for Anaheim, they are trying to remain relevant in the West. But it's getting tricky. That lack of offense and then the somewhat mediocre goaltending at times, these are troubling trends. This is why when I see media saying, oh, Ryan Miller might go to the Leafs. Have you seen Miller's stats? He's not been great this year. And I love Ryan Miller. I don't understand. Do people just not pay attention to stats and they just see a name? Like seriously, I'm starting to think with some media, they just see the name and they don't necessarily look at the stats. They go, oh, that'll work. He's having a miserable year. I don't know what kind of year he's having. I'm just looking at his name. It's okay. It's fine. I just look at his name. All right. There are GMs, I think, that do that as well. So, all right. Next up. Rangers are in against San Jose. San Jose's first game in the post-Peter DeBoer era under Bob Boughner. Boughner's a good coach. I don't think he got a fair shake in his last time as head coach in Florida. And I think he's a decent enough coach. So we'll see how things work out tonight. As he is going to make his debut behind the bench for the surprisingly below 500 San Jose Sharks against the 15-12-3 Rangers. The Rangers are 6-3-1 in their last 10. They're 7-6-1 on the road. So the Rangers numbers, not bad. Not bad. On the San Jose side of things, they're 15-16-2 in their last 10. They're 4-5-1. At home, they're 9-7. And they really can't afford to miss the playoffs because it's not their draft pick. It's part of the reason why the frustration and the pressure are both there for San Jose. They don't own their own first-round draft pick. They cannot afford to miss the playoffs. They have to panic. There's a need to panic. The next meeting for these teams will be February 22nd in New York. So they meet again in New York in February. And we'll see how things go tonight. I'm favoring San Jose. That's the reason I'm wearing the San Jose jersey that they never should have changed from. I still don't understand why they got rid of the black shoulders. Never make any sense to me. Or the stripes at the bottom. Stripes at the bottom are nice. Now, hits leaders. Trouba, 76 hits for the Rangers. Block shots, Trouba, again, 60. Face-offs, Strome leads with 484. On the San Jose front, Dillon, 103 hits. Blocked shots, Erik Karlsson has 48. Face-offs, Tomas Hertl with 494. Tomas Hertl has the most fun-looking face-off stance of any player in the National Hockey League. I don't think you can choke up on a stick more than he does. But he will get a chance to prove that tonight, and San Jose gets a chance to show, hey, we can still turn it around. It's still early in the season, and it is. You know, they're 33 games in, but at one game below 500. And when you see what's going on in their division, you can see why the panic's there. They are behind Vancouver. They are behind. No, they're not behind Anaheim or LA. So it's just California sucks this year. And they want to prove that California doesn't have to suck this year. It'd be really weird if all three California teams missed the playoffs. Really, really bizarre. That's the kind of thing that 5 years ago I would have done a happy dance over all the California teams missing the playoffs. Now with this channel and the way that I cover hockey, a lot less of that than there would have been then. But if Arizona and Edmonton made the playoffs, that really completely throws everything on its ear. But again, we're still early. And San Jose could still turn it around. So that's the question I have for you guys is, are they going to be able to do that? Does changing coaches help? Because there are people saying that it's not the goaltending, and there are people saying it is the goaltending. Honestly, the goaltending's been a problem. But you can then look at the goaltending coach and ask, well, what was he doing? So the fact that this was a complete change in not just the head coach, but they kind of cleaned house with the other coaches as well, tells you that San Jose, Doug Wilson figures this is really just a coaching issue. It wasn't just Peter DeBoer. It's an entirely new coaching staff taking over for San Jose tonight, and we'll see against the Rangers how things turn out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, predictions and whatnot. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.